Ciao.
I'm out.
It only works if we're all in. Then it don't work.
It is. Or maybe I'll talk about the fact that I don't know what day it is. Probably that will be a better thing to do. And it'll be very surprising to people to hear that I have no idea what day it is as we say hello to Rob Walch. Rob Walch, of course, host of Oh, Help Me Out. You're still Podcast 411 or you're not anymore?
Podcast 411 is on a hiatus.
Okay.
But I am still hosting today in iOS, and your listeners will be the first to hear. I got a new podcast that it's kind of a little bit fun little side project called Opt In.
Okay. Opt In. What is that?
Well, so it'll be about, we talk about in news here. Opt, as in you have to opt in. It'll be about data privacy.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, because, well, what I started to say a minute ago is it's Monday. And so on Monday, we do It's News to whomever the guest happens to be. Like today, it's Rob Walch. So today it would be news to Rob. What I'm not sure is if it's Monday or not, because I'm doing some, stuff this week. But either you know that and it's Tuesday, or you have no idea what I'm talking about, and you'll find out later this week. So, Opt In is the name of the show, and that is also your news for today. Not your podcast, but opting in.
It comes down to the confusion. Like, it comes with Google is now doing privacy, right? Or they said they're doing privacy, which is the nutrition transparency labels.
Well,
right.
No, they're not doing them anytime soon, though. They're doing them
not until 2022.
Right. Well, first quarter of 2022, yeah.
Yes. And so they'll be supporting that there. But people are trying to say, well, that's like Apple's iOS 14.5. Like, no, the 14.5 privacy is completely different than what Google's doing. Apple, what they did with 14.5 is opting in. And then I'm reading around on Twitter, and people are really confused about what 14.5 meant, thinking that every app they go to, there's going to be an opt-in for them, and then why are these apps not asking me?
Yeah.
And so I want to just clear up a little bit on some of the bad info and that's out there on 14.5 and how it really works. And first, you have to go to settings and privacy and then tracking. And if you have it turned off to allow apps to request to track, that does not mean they can track you. Some people are thinking, well, if you have that turned off by default, they're still able to track you. No, it's now an opt-in world. And opt-in means you, the consumer, have to opt in to now be tracked, as it should be.
Right.
And turning off that option means, in essence, that you are not opting into any new apps. So if you turn off the feature, if you already have opted into some apps, you'll actually get a message that asks you if you want to continue allowing those apps to track you, or if you just want to turn them off as well.
Mm-hmm.
But by turning on the feature, it then does allow apps to ask you if you want to opt in to be tracked. It's confusing, I know.
Well, wait, hold on a second, because it sounds to me like you have it backwards unless I do. So if I look at my phone and that thing is green, what I basically said is they're not allowed to ask to track me.
They are allowed to ask to
Okay.
track. Yeah,
All right.
That's where, it's confusing.
Well, here's the thing. It's confusing because I did it a week and a half ago. And so I'm already secure in the knowledge that they can't ask me. And if they try to, they're automatically getting the answer back that says no, which I will say I'm in love with how they implemented that in 14.5, because I really did think what I said on Mac OS Ken was I thought it was going to be like, going to a website in California, every time I go to the website, it's like, can we put cookies on your thing? And it's like, well, no. And so you click no, and then there's another page you have to go to where you have to turn off 8 things, which of course it forgets next time because you've told it that it can't put cookies on, right? So it doesn't know. And I figured we were going to be answering that question about, Facebook, if we still have Facebook on our phones, or Instagram or anything like that for the rest of our days. And so the fact that you can set it and say, I'm not kidding, don't ask me, then iOS goes back and goes, right, yeah, he doesn't want you to ask him, so no, you can't track.
So if you go to privacy and settings, privacy tracking, and you have that little button switched over and you can see green, then apps are allowed to ask you if you want to opt in to be tracked.
Okay.
If you turn it off, they can't ask you and you won't get tracked. They cannot track you. And that's, and some people were on Twitter complaining that, oh, everybody's turned off and that means apps can still track you. And if that was the case, Facebook would have been like, shh, don't tell anybody. Don't say anything.
Right.
Right. But they're not. They're up in arms and putting out front page ads or ads in papers and all kinds of crazy stuff. So no, the way Apple did it, I agree with you, is the right way. And you have to turn it on to allow apps to ask you. And here's where the other place where people get confused. They think, oh, now all the apps are going to have to ask you right away. No, they have until they do their next update. So it's going to be a little bit of time. But some are starting to come in. I just updated apps this afternoon. And when I did, I got an Uber update, and that one asked me if I wanted to opt in. Instagram asked me if I wanted to opt in. Nextdoor is another one that asked me. Fox Now. Don't ask me why I have that, but sports.
Okay.
We'll go with that. So there are some that are coming in, and there's some that like that make no sense that are asking for it, which are purely just for advertising. So you're going to start seeing it slowly but surely rolling out. And a lot of people thought it was going to be this flip of a switch and all the privacy is, and it takes a little bit of time.
Are you, like, is there anything that you're like, yeah, that's cool, go ahead and track me across everything? Are you leaving this on so that you can have a clear idea, so that when you then go on to your various podcasts, you can say, this is happening this often, or it's not happening that much, or whatever? Or are you like, yeah, go ahead, DoorDash, track me across everything?
No, I'm treating it just like I treat the notifications. Nope, don't allow. Nope.
Okay. But
yeah, yeah, I mean, really what it means is now when you open up apps after updates, you a lot of times you're going to get two requests. One is for allowing the notifications and one is for allowing the tracking. Sometimes I allow notifications. I haven't not allowed it tracking.
Let me ask you another question. And this is one of those things. It's sort of like when, people say to me, having done a Mac podcast or an Apple podcast for 15 years, hey, did you hear there's going to be a new iPhone? I assume you heard the thing this week about the 96% of people in the U.S., according to Flurry, 96% of people in the U.S. just completely denying the requests?
Yep.
High or low as far as you're concerned? Are you surprised that it's that much, or are you surprised it's that little?
I thought it would be a little bit higher. We'll see where it winds up. It may get up to 10%. It really depends. Again, not a lot of the apps are out there. And people, again, are by default, it's turned off. So I think and I don't know this, but I think what Flurry's looking at is even the ones for people that have that feature turned off, that's going to count as no, they didn't opt in.
Right.
The app's just going to go, oh, nope, not allowed. Now, the question really is for the people that actually have that feature turned on where they can actually do a choice, what is that percentage? And I don't believe that's the same as what they're reporting. It might be, but I don't believe it is. So that is something I'm actually trying to find out.
So, I mean, obviously, this is a great sort of the moment topic. That can be what your whole show is going to be about, not just this from now on.
It's going to track different privacy laws as they come into place in different countries, and GDPR and LGPD, which is the Brazilian one, and others, and the state ones, CDPA, which is out of Virginia. And so it's really going to be really nerdy on privacy stuff. But you know what? Here's the thing. People also get misunderstanding that they think, okay, with iOS 14.5, now nobody can track me at all. Not true. Because there is a big gaping hole in the Apple ecosystem called podcasts. And in podcasts, there is no place for people to opt in, yet there are services like Podsites that are tracking the listeners. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing the listeners can do about that if they listen to a podcast that allows that. Now, macOS does not, and a few does not. So the shows that are hosted on Libsyn don't allow that. But here's the irony, if you want to talk about irony. If you go to look in Overcast, which is a great app, it'll tell you which apps podcasts do or don't. Yang Speaks, as in Andrew Yang, his podcast tracks, and it tracks from multiple services. So his is actually one of the worst offenders of tracking listeners that can't opt in. And he's a person that was out there for Prop 24 promoting data privacy for consumers. So that's how confusing this is. It gets even better. Tim Cook went on Sway with Kara Swisher to talk about the importance of privacy on a podcast, Sway, that tracks the listeners with no opt-in. So there is, unfortunately, a big privacy issue still out there, and that is in the podcast sphere. And that will be something I definitely talk about on opt-in.
You know, it's possible that we'll talk more later this week about Tim Cook and podcasts.